So I got out a textbook. It was called Race, Class, and Gender, and it's an anthology that's used in cultural studies courses, in women's studies courses, and it's sort of the go-to text, so I'm told. And I'm reading it, and I turned to page 14, and I can tell you it's page 14 because I was so astounded by what I found. And it said, it says, objectivity as found through rational thought is a Western and masculine concept that we will challenge throughout this text.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I said,
it's too bad. It's too bad that you're shocked by that. Because
I couldn't believe it. So you want to go for irrational?
The PC types have been saying exactly that since the 1970s. Like that is they make no mistake about this. This is why McClatchy is wrong. This isn't something they're secreting in. This is the dead statement. Oh yeah, it's that the whole notion of logic and coherence and empirical data, for that matter.
Evidence.
The very nature.
Reject evidence.
Let's question the definition of evidence, because the underlying idea, remember, the underlying idea here is that all hierarchies are predicated on power. So if the reason that I put forward something as evidence isn't because it's evidence, it's because it's evidence that I get to have that position of power. And so if you're a postmodernist and you say, well, I'm going to question your evidence, what you think you're saying is you're going to question my claim to that arbitrary power. The whole idea that there's evidence outside of claims of arbitrary power, the postmodernists dispensed with that in the 1970s. That's Derrida. That's exactly what he said.
And all this time I've been trying to get samples of thousands so that I could say, you know, this is a little bit, we can say something, we can generalize.
No, that just demonstrates how thoroughly entrenched you are in the reigning patriarchal ideology.
I guess, and I was just hoping to get beyond anecdotal.
There's no beyond anecdotal. That's become a methodology.
Well,
that's
lived experience.
It's called autoethnography. There's a technical term for it. And autoethnography is the publication of a private diary, essentially, in a hypothetically reputable academic journal.
It's only because of in the last 3 or 4 years that these things have been happening that I say, well, where do they get this? How do they find these thoughts?
Yes, well, we don't want to fall into the mistake of making the assumption that this hasn't been thought through.
No.
People are not just misunderstanding what evidence is. That isn't what's happening at all. When they say they want to question the definition of evidence, that's exactly what they mean. When they say we want to question the definition of evidence because the definition of evidence currently supports the scientific power structure in chemistry, say, and that's fundamentally dominated by, let's say, white men, we can go after the definition of evidence itself, and that's how we're going to bring it down. And so the next people on the hit list are going to be the biologists. They're already under attack from the social justice warriors.
I just read a paper that said that mathematics is whiteness.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't know that mathematics could have a race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the thing is, there's nothing illogical about these claims once you accept the central axioms. The axioms are straightforward. The world is a battleground of power hierarchies. That's what it is. There isn't anything else outside of that. And each power hierarchy generates its own internal narrative, including rules for what constitutes evidence, that support and buttress the structure of that hierarchy. And because the hierarchies exclude, then it's in the best interests of the people who are excluded to invert the hierarchy. And of course, they also regard that as just, even though that's part of the incoherence of the entire argument. That's where they have to turn to Marxism. But make no mistake about it, this isn't accidental. It isn't people misunderstanding what constitutes evidence. Not at all.